UDM leader Bantu Holomisa wrote to the President Cyril Ramaphosa alleging corruption at the PIC involving prominent business owners. Joining me now to respond to these allegations is Bulemu Bebeledi, who is from Harith, and Warren Wealthy, who is from Lebashe Investment. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start this conversation by me asking you, did your companies receive any money from the PIC?
Let's just put it this way, maybe perhaps, Lubabalo. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Investments is a normal business where people go around looking for funding from various sources. And in the case of the PIC, I mean, answering your question directly and stating the facts, is that Harith was started, with seed capital from the PIC in 2006. And our role as an entity was to basically capitalize on marshalling domestic and international funding to ensure that we fund infrastructure in Africa. And we have done that with seed capital from the PIC of 25 million, which we paid back within the period of 18 months with interest to the PIC. That is the only amount of capital that we received as Harith General Partners from the PIC. Then from then onward, we went on and raised $1.2 billion from other institutional investors. These are in the form of the Pension Fund of Ghana, Pension Fund of Botswana, Government Employees Pension Fund of South Africa, DBSA, Standard Bank, Liberty, Metropolitan, you name them. This is normal. This is what happens in investments. And then from then onwards, we use that money to invest in mega infrastructure projects in the continent. These are in the form of Lansira International Airport, Dark Fiber Africa in South Africa, which is about a 13,000 kilometer fiber cable optic line in South Africa, an undersea cable in Nigeria, which is called Main One. It's linking the entire west coast right up to Portugal. The biggest and the largest wind farm power station in Africa called Lake Turkana, which is under construction right now, the third largest in the world, 310 megawatts. We've done a power station in Nigeria called Amandi, which has just come in on stream 6 months or so ahead of its time projected line. These are some of the projects. I mean, we've got a lot. I mean, I can tell you about the Henry Konare Bedi Bridge in Abidjan, which is a 6.7 kilometer bridge. So in a sense, what Mr. Holomisa is trying to do in this instance is completely devoid of truth. And any inquiry, which we welcome, by the way, and any scrutiny, which we also welcome, by the way, will find the facts. And the facts are, there is no monies that were undue that went into Harith as an infrastructure platform.
Okay, Wayne?
The answer is yes. We received funding from the PIC. We are an investment holding company with a focus on investment service, financial services. And to that end, we knock on the doors of most banks in Sandton. The PIC have funded us. We've already paid back large components of their funding. And their funding is only 20% of our total liability book. We owe Investec money, we owe ABSA money, we owe Sanlam money. We owe everybody in town money. So for people to start talking about us getting undue favor from the PIC, it's unwarranted and untrue, quite simply. In fact, out of 6 or 7 successful transactions over the last year, they've only financed one of those for us.
Okay, now, Pule, before I move further, Tepo, who is the CEO of Harith, has been alleged in the media to have had links with former PIC boss Brian Malife and has had, the allegations. But how do you respond to those allegations claiming that these monies that you gentlemen say the companies have received from the PIC were through favors?
Lubabalo, that statement and allegation seems to be crude and seeks to undermine the governance processes of the PIC, and also seeks to undermine the credibility and the skills that individuals in the sector come with. Tsepo has worked for the PIC. He's a deal maker, has always been a deal maker, and the last time he worked at the PIC was 12 years ago. And I mean, now to link Mr. Brian Molefe, who everybody knows around town was the CEO of the PIC, is completely, I'm saying, a knee-jerk and a very convenient way of trying to link the things that don't actually link. Brian is his own person and went on to do his things at Transnet and Eskom, whereas Tsepo has been with the Harith, and he started it, and he has actually done very, very well. I mean, this is a thing in South Africa where we want to denigrate, especially black excellence. I mean, there are people out there who have gone out to identify niches that not many people could actually go and do. Fact is, Tsepo has built a very successful platform with the assistance of highly qualified, credible players in the system. He has raised $1.2 billion US, which he has properly deployed in the continent. And in terms of the additional monies that we've also raised, an additional $4 billion US on top of that from debt financiers, just to ensure that those projects that I was talking about are also funded. So really, it's a red herring just to try and link things that just don't link. There is no illegality here. The fact that I know you, Lubabalo, does not make it a crime. I may know you, but does that really now constitute a criminal behavior or irregular behavior in the fact that I know you? Businesses are structures in a particular way that they've got governance processes that are adhered to. There are people in the PIC who are being undermined. I mean, completely. It just smacks of lack of understanding of how investments work.
Warren, would you want to comment on this as well?
I think my colleague
Okay,
has...
now let's closing this off, Pule. Where to from here? I've heard that the companies, your companies, are considering taking legal action against Holomisa.
Yes, in fact, we've dispatched a cease and desist letter first thing this morning. Our general is looking for a war. We've taken up that challenge. We've taken up the call. He's got until we've put some deadlines. He's got to cease and desist this behavior, or else we will take further legal action.
For me, Lubabalo, the challenge is I want to say, people see witches where none exist. No one is undermining the need to fight corruption. Let's fight corruption, but let's also be fair. Let us not denigrate and besmirch everything and anything that is seemingly walking around. In this instance, I would also like to ask a question to say, we are suffering reputational damage currently, and we are certain there is no provocation on our side. We are very clear that whatever inquiry, which we are very happy to collaborate with, when it is done and concluded, it's not going to find anything untoward. Now, what then happens in between? Because right now we currently are suffering reputational damage. What is the general going to be saying when this thing is there and it has cleared us? This is a very simple thing that should have been done. He should have just picked up the phone and just come. He should have just come and asked and tried. We would have probably opened our books, which is what we are prepared to do to anybody today, including the likes of yourself and anyone. We're not willing to wait for an inquiry. We are ready to open the books for anybody to come and check us out.